Okay, guys, welcome to phase 7 of this Android app development journey. If you remember in the beginning, I told you that I created this course to teach you how to create apps easily and in a very much focused way, whereby you learn just what is needed to get you going and in a very easy way. So, in this phase, we're going to be learning about how to take pictures with the camera, record videos with the camera, and also learning some completely new stuff like how to design screens that scale. Previously, we've been designing screens by dragging, let's say, a button onto the screen and then adding constraints. We're going to be unlearning this stuff and learning some completely new way of designing screens. This is because currently this method of dragging things on screen, while they scale somehow, they don't scale very well. This is what I mean by they don't scale very well. Let's say I change this layout to a layout of a tablet. I'm gonna select the phone here. I'm gonna select a 10-inch tablet. I'm gonna turn this to portrait. So now this is the design that we have. I'm gonna get rid of the small button for now. Now this is the design that we have. As you can see, it didn't scale, and the parts that scaled with the little marginal errors that we had in the placements. So going forward, we want to be designing screens that scale automatically, and also while the design is going on, everything is in line, everything is straight, and there is less margin of errors when it comes to dragging things on the screen, because we are not going to be dragging them. We're going to be um, rationalizing them, placing them in place with weights and ratios. um, so let's dive into that. Okay. Like I said, I need to rearrange this. Okay, like I said, we're going to be on learning stuff and learning new stuff, and that brings me to a very nice quote by Bruce Lee that says, "Empty your mind, be formless, shapeless, like water." This means, what you know about dragging widgets on screen, kind of push that to the side and then make room for some new knowledge, because the new knowledge is going to be the way to go going forward. Um, so, so we're going to be designing screens going forward using three main components: a vertical linear layout, a horizontal linear layout, and a frame layout. So these three types of layouts, they function very similarly in the sense that for this one here, we are pretty much stacking views in something called a layout, which is a container view. A layout contains child views. It's also called a parent view. It contains child views like this one, this one, this one. So that means this one here is a layout. It's a parent view, and then these ones are child views. So this layout we have here is a linear layout, um, because it contains views in a linear direction, and this linear direction is a vertical direction. So this one, we call it a linear layout. And then this one over here is a horizontal linear layout, because the children are stacked horizontally. Okay. So um so that's it for linear layout. Then the last kind of layout we're going to be focusing on is called a frame layout. A frame layout stacks views on top of each other, kind of like in a z in a three-dimensional world. They have the y-axis, the x-axis, and the z-axis. The z-axis is this one. This is the y, this is the x, and then this is the z. Okay, because it stacks on top of zero. So we're going to be dealing with this a lot, and if you understand these three kinds of layouts, aka parent views, going forward things are gonna be much easier. So let's dive in. We're going to be creating some basic views using these components, and it's gonna be fun. So starting off, we have this kind of view. This is a very basic way to start off. Okay. So what you see here is obviously a linear layout, right? So that means we're going to have a child view here, a child view here, and then a child view here. So three views inside this child view, okay? Which kind of imitates this one here. So for this one, we're going to be starting off with a linear layout as the root. All right. All right. So let's dive into that. Android Studio. I'm gonna create a new screen. This is gonna be screen 6 or screen 7. Yeah, screen 7. New Android activity, empty. Where is it? Empty. Okay. This will be screen 7. Everything looks good. Finish. Okay, we're waiting for it to load. Okay, now it's done. All right, next thing we're gonna do now is we're gonna go and start designing. I'm gonna switch this back to our Pixel 3a XL. Okay. So remember we have a linear layout as the root. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I am going to bring in a linear layout here under layouts. Okay. So I'm going to drag in. This is a vertical linear layout. So I'm going to drag in a vertical linear layout. As you can see, we have vertical and horizontal. So I'm going to bring this in. And when I bring this in, I'm going to make the constraints to match all parents. I'm gonna squeeze this back out. So to do that, I'm simply just going to put zeros in all ends. Okay. All right. So I'm pretty much stretching this linear layout to match the borders of this screen. So now that is done, the next thing we are now going to do is to start actually implementing what we see here. So the first thing we notice here is that we have a space here, a button here, and another space. So that means we have three views here, and they look like they all have the same size. So this space up here has the same size as this button here, and this button has the same size here as this one here. So let's go ahead and create that. It's going to be easy. So let's first of all add a space to our layout. I'm gonna minimize this because I'm not gonna need this. So let's go ahead and add a space to our layout. I'm gonna search space. So we have space here. I'm gonna bring that in. Okay, so now you see the space is in there. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna bring in a button, because we have a button here. Okay, so as you can see, the space is on top, the button is below. Then lastly, I'm gonna bring in another space because that's the plan, right? So space. All right. So now everything is stacked up just like we wanted. Space, button, space. Okay. So now this is where we learn the new stuff. Okay. Remember, there is not gonna be any dragging up here. We're really going to be kind of like hard coding the dimensions this time around. The dimensions that will scale. So how do we get this to look like this? All right, so to do this, we use something called weights in Android. So weights is what you see here. It says layout weights. Before layout weights would work properly for a view, you need to assign a width and height of match parent to that view. So for the first space here, I'm going to assign a width and height of match parent. This one already has match parent. I'm going to assign a match parent to this one. Then the second view, I'm going to do the same thing, match parent, and then the last one for the width and height, I'm going to also assign a match parent and a match parent to them. Okay, now this is good. Okay, so next we're going to add weights to them. This would allow them to now this would give them the proportions they're going to occupy on the screen. So the first one, all right, which seems to have an equal size to this and this, I'm going to assign a weight of 1 to this one, a weight of 1 to this one, and a weight of 1 to this one. I will explain why in a second. So space, I'm going to assign a weight of 1, enter. The button, I'm going to assign a weight of 1, enter. And then the last space, I'm going to assign a weight of 1, enter. See the magic? Okay, so I'm going to explain this in a little bit, but at least right now we see that things look as expected. All right. Okay, so in this world of creating screens that scale, there are rules that guide how you assign weights to a view. So imagine we have a view, okay, and the view has 3 equal items, right? Let me see. I'm gonna try to make this as equal as possible. Background, orange. Okay, I'm gonna make some copies of this. Okay. Okay, so let's imagine these 3 views has equal dimensions. Okay, great. So because we want them to occupy an equal amount of space on this parent view, this blue one, all we have to do is assign a weight of 1 to each one. Weight of 1, weight of 1, and the weight of 1. The reason is because they have an equal weight, this tells the system that these views are going to share an equal amount of space. Okay, now what if we don't want them to occupy an equal amount of space? What if we want this one to occupy, let's say, 60%, and this one occupy, let's say 70%. 70%. Hope this is clear enough. Let me bring it down a little bit more. I'm gonna change the color of this one. Greenish. Yeah, that's great. So imagine we want this to occupy 7. This looks like 70%, and this one occupies 30. Okay. How do we do this? So as you might have guessed, we would assign a center the text, center. Okay, I'm gonna increase the font size. Okay, great. So as you might have guessed, if we want this to occupy 70% of the space, we would assign a weight of 70%. And if we want this to occupy a space of 30% of the screen, we would assign a weight of 30% to this one. That is correct. Okay, so that means we would assign 30% to this one, and then assign a weight of 70% to this one, right? That seems obvious. Okay, so let's try and do that on the screen. Again, I'm gonna get back to this one we have here. Let's see. I'm gonna get rid of this space. So imagine we want this one to occupy a space of 70, and then we want this one at the top to occupy 30, right? Now, do you notice something? It seems like the weights, the result we want is inverted. So we want the one at the top to occupy 30%, the one at the bottom to occupy 70. But it seems like when we do that, the result is flipped. That's normal. So the trick here is that we flip the weights. So this one is gonna be 70, and this one is gonna be 30. This is the easiest way I know to get this thing to show the weights. You have to reverse the value. So if you want this one to be 30, you have to give it the value of this one and give the value of this one to this one. It's weird, but it works. So that means we're gonna give this one a 30 and then give this one a 70 to get the result we want. So this is how we assign weights to views. It's really simple, just that you're gonna flip the values among the views that are going to share that percentages. So it's really simple. This one 70%, this one 30%, but when you are assigning these weights, you flip the values. It's really that simple. Then the next thing is, imagine we had 3 views here, whereby this one is, I'm gonna put this one in the center just to make it easier. Okay, I'm gonna copy this one, paste it down here. I'm using this as a quick demonstration of what I'm trying to show you guys. Okay. All right, so imagine this design where it looks like the center. We have 3 views, 3 child views, where it looks like the center view is occupying the dominant amount of space. In this case, it looks like it's occupying 60% of the space, and the rest is 20 and 20. All right. So in this case, how do you think we're going to assign weights to this? Well, the answer is it's the same concept with what I just told you in the previous one. The only difference is that the views that are going to, the smaller one in this case, or the ones that are matching, the views that are going to have the same dimensions in this field, they're going to share the same weight. So we have 60% here, right? This one is occupying 60%, and this one is occupying uh, what, 20, and this one is occupying 20, right? So 6 plus 2 plus 2, that's 100. Great, no problem. The only thing is that this one and this one are not gonna have 20. They're gonna have the sum of the two. So that means this is gonna be 40, and this would be 40, because 6 plus 40 is 100. You wanna have it as a simple sum. So 6 plus 40 is 100. Then what happens is this one and this one gets to share the same amount of space. That is when you want to design something like this. Okay. Um, so just remember that the ones that are going to be sharing the same space, they're going to have the same number, but this and the dominant one and the smaller one of them are going to sum up to 100 in this case. All right, so this is what we want to see in reality, but remember that when we assign these weights, we have to flip them. So that means this one is gonna get 60, this one is gonna get 60 again, and then this one is gonna get 40. All right, so let's go ahead and that's not good. All right, give me 1 second. All right, so that means we're going to flip them. In this case, this one gets 60, this one gets 40, this one gets 60 again. So let's dive in and try that out. So we're going to add another button down here. Oh, by the way, you can also put the new views in here directly. So this one, we're going to give it a weight of 60. So we add 60 to this one, enter. And then this one gets a weight of, remember, 40. 40, enter. And then this one gets a weight of 60 again, enter. 60, 40, 60. Oh yeah, I remember we set the dimensions to match parents. See that? So this one gets 60, this one gets 40, and this one gets 60. So that's how we design a screen that is going to share an equal amount of space, but yet have a slight variation in the way they actually appear. So lastly, we're going to touch on how to make a view share the same amount of space. That is the same concept I explained to you in the beginning, whereby a view shares the same space throughout. In this case, let me add 5 views to this one as a very good example. So okay, so now I have 5. This one goes down here. And when you are doing this, when you are assigning the same weight to all the views, they really don't when you assign the same weight to all views, there is no limit to how many views you can have. if in the same parent, if you plan to assign the same weights to all of them. That means if you plan that they would have the same dimensions, you can have 10, 20, 30, 50, 60, 100 if you want. Even though I won't recommend 100 views in one layout. So in this case, to achieve this, all you simply have to do is to assign the same weight to all of them. I like to assign 1, 1, 1, and 1. 10 could also work. 10, as long as they're all the same. 10, 10, and 10. Even 15 could work as long as they're all the same. That would give all of them an equal weight, an equal space to share. So that is how you assign an equal amount of weights to a view. Remember, we already did this in the first example. Now, back to the other example that we had, whereby we had this one. One key thing to note here is to keep things simple and to keep things straightforward. Limit the views you have when you're assigning weights. Limit the child views to 3, to a maximum of 3. That means don't try to have 4 views here if they're not all gonna be the same dimensions. When you have varying dimensions, try to limit them to 3 to allow these principles to work. So a maximum of 3 views if the views are gonna have varying dimensions. But if you're gonna assign the same dimensions to all of them, you have no limits. But if you're going to assign varying dimensions to them, limit the child views to 3. If you want to add more views, simply create another layout. Could be a horizontal, and apply the same rules. Layouts can accept weights as well. Apply the same rule to them, and then you can assign the whole. You can put the whole thing into a layout, and then I'm gonna make this transparent. So you can arrange the layout inside the bigger layout, and then that would allow you to even add more and more views simply by nesting more and more views. So it's really that simple. Let me make this thicker so you can see better. Yeah. So you can create more nested layouts in order to achieve even much more complex views. This will allow your screens to scale. So imagine now I'm gonna change this layout to a tablet. Let's see how that scales up. This is gonna be a 10-inch tablet. Okay, I'm gonna make this to be portrait, so you see how it scales. Portrait. So as you can see, the screens do scale up without having any misalignment. I'm gonna change this to a 7-inch tablet so you can see. I'm gonna change this to a what else? A very small phone. That would be Nexus. I think that would be this one. So as you can see, the screens keep scaling. So this is something you should really learn to use, because your screens will scale proportionally as the screens get bigger or smaller. So with that said, so we've designed this one. The next thing we're gonna do is now design a little more complex view with that, and then design even this one. So we're going to dive in and design this view right here. So let's dig in. All right. So to design this view, I'm going to get rid of everything we have so far in our linear layout. Oh, by the way, I need to move this back to the pixel. That was, yeah, this one. Okay, so going to get rid of this. I want to start off with a fresh linear layout. All right. By the way, if you ever have a linear layout and you want to change the orientation, this is currently a vertical. There is an attribute called orientation. Orientation. You can always change that to horizontal. Instead of deleting this layout, you can just change the orientation to what you want. All right. So to design this screen here, it looks like we have at the root we have a vertical layout, because when we look at the root view, we see that there is a vertical stack. This one and this one makes it a vertical stack. All right. So this means we are going to, by the way, if you're wondering how I know it's a vertical stack, try to imagine the first items that were stacked into this linear layout. And you can't stack something like this and like this horizontally. It has to be a vertical stack. So that's how I know this is a vertical stack view. And this is also why it's good to sketch out your app on paper first, because when you sketch it out on paper, that way you know what you're designing and you can imagine and understand the layout types needed to get that design visualized. So the first one we have here is a vertical stack. So let's go ahead and make sure our root is a vertical. Yes, it is a vertical. So the next thing we have is another layout that contains two other views. So let's go ahead and add another layout to the bottom. First we're gonna add this layout here, and then we're gonna add another layout to the bottom. So this and at the top here looks like a button, but based on the context of what we're doing, this is a video player with a play button on top of it. All right. So we're going to need a frame layout here, because there is a stack of views here. A view is stacked on top of one another. There is a play button stacked on top of a video player. So let's put a frame layout, because if you remember, a frame layout stacks views. Okay, so we're gonna need a frame layout at the top. So let's bring that in. Layouts, frame layouts. I'm gonna bring that in. Okay, so now this frame layout is at the top. Next thing we're gonna have is a linear layout, but in this case a horizontal one, because these two views are stacked side by side. So that means we're gonna need a horizontal layout. Okay, so horizontal linear layout. So that means this one, I'm gonna bring it in, put it below our main roots linear layout. All right, notice I didn't stack it on top of this one. I could have done that, but that wasn't my plan. The plan is to put it under this linear layout here. All right, and that's what I did. All right. So to keep things visualized, I'm going to give a background color to this frame layout here. Something bluish. Let's see. Background. Okay, that looks good. Then for this one, I'm going to give it a background of gray. Just gray for now. So background. Okay, that's done. All right, so before we add these two child views and this view into our layouts, let's first of all deal with the ratios, the proportions of the frame layout and the linear layout we have here. So here it looks like this one occupies 30%, and this one occupies 70%. All right, so let's go ahead and assign that. Remember that because we want this to be 30% and this one's 60, when putting it into the design, we're gonna flip the values. This is not the only way of doing this, but this is the simplest way I know to achieve these weighting systems. All right, so frame layouts, we give it a match parent and match parent grades. Linear layout, match parent, match parent. Okay, so frame layouts, we give this a weight of 70, and then the one at the bottom gets a weight of 30. Okay, see that? Awesome. All right, so next we have a button here and another button here. One says photo, one says video. All right, so let's go ahead and bring that in. And these buttons are inside our linear layout at the bottom. So under this linear layout, we're gonna bring in a button. Notice I'm putting it under the linear layout, and then I'm gonna bring in another button under the linear layouts. So for these two buttons, I'm going to add a little space in between them. And to do that, I'm going to find my favorite space, and I'm gonna put it in between them. Okay, and then I'm gonna assign an actual dimension to this to this space. Where is the width? So I'm gonna put 10 dp. dp is the recommended dimensions to use in Android layout system, because dp depends on the screen density. All right, so we have button 5. We're going to make this the width match parent and the height match parent as well. By the way, you don't always need to have both to match parent. You can leave one as wrap content depending on the orientation you're working on. So that means if you are in a vertical linear layout, you can let go of the so okay, for example, this is a horizontal linear layout. We really don't care much about the height parameter when it comes to whether it's match parent or wrap content, but we do care about the layout width. To keep things simple, just make both of them match parent. All right. So oh yeah, so our button match parent, and then our other button also match parent and match parent, and then our space, I'm gonna make this 10 dp as well. All right, so the weights, remember that they're occupying the same space, so the weight should be 1 1. All right, so the weight is going to be 1 for this one, and the weight is going to be 1 for this one. Something is wrong somewhere. Match parent, match parents. Okay, this shouldn't have a weight. All right, there you go. Because I'm hard coding the values, the space shouldn't have a weight. This is because I'm hard coding the values though. If you want the space to be part of the weighting system, you should assign a weight to it. Um, so so as you can see, now we have achieved these two simply by assigning the same weight to them. All right, and these are the two buttons. All right, so now we've achieved this as a root. I'm just gonna add these two values. So this one is photo text. Where is text? Uh, Photo. Enter. And this one is gonna be video. Video. Enter. All right. Text appearance large. Text appearance. I'm also gonna make this large. All right. Okay. So we've achieved this. The next thing is to achieve this. So we have a video view at the root and then a button on top of it. So to do that, we drag in a video view into our layout. So video view, there it is. Drag it in. So as you can see, it's now inside our frame layout. And then we're gonna place a button, a play button on top of that. So I'm gonna drag in a play button on top of this. You can do this here or bring it here, whichever one works. Let me put it here. I like to use this. All right. So now our button is in, and as you can see, it's stuck to the top. How do we fix this? We fix this by simply changing the alignment of this button. So for frame layout, we're going to say we want the children to gravitate to the center. Gravity, layout gravity. We're going to change it to center. All right, and then for the button, that's this one, we're going to change the gravity also to center. Oh, why is it still up there? Gravity center, and oh, gravity center. There you go. Yeah, so we set both gravities to center, especially this one that says layout gravity. That's the key. All right, so now we have it at the center. I'm gonna just change the text to. I'm gonna change the text to play. All right. Oh, by the way, one more note on gravity. There are two types of gravity on every view. So there is gravity. There usually is a layout gravity, and then there is one called just gravity. This one. The major difference is that the layout gravity is talking about this view's gravity in respect to its parent. That means where do I center myself in my parent? So that's where does this button center itself? Where does this button locate it? Where does this button set itself in respect to its parent, which is the frame layout? And then the gravity, the one that just says the word gravity, this one is talking about where do I center my children? So in this case, it's talking about where do I center this text called play, because that's the child. All right, so again, layout gravity is talking about my gravity in respect to my parents, and then the gravity is talking about my children's, my content's gravity, my content. All right, Okay, so now that is done. So now we have this designed. By the way, this could have been an image button, but to keep things simple and fast, I use the text button instead. So now we have this design. The next thing we should do is up it a little bit. So we've designed this one. Let me zoom this in. So we've designed this, and now we're going to design this one. So as you can see, this one gets a little more complex too. The major difference is that in the center of our photo button and our video button, we now have another layout in there. This is not just a button, this is a layout where there is a space here, an image view here, and then another space. So let's go ahead and dive in and bring this to life. So remember that at the center here we had a regular just space with hard-coded values. I'm gonna get rid of this space, and then I'm gonna bring in a layout because this looks like a vertical layout, okay, based on how the items are stacked. Remember this? So see that? Stack, stack, stack. That's a vertical stack. So I'm gonna bring in a vertical linear layout. All right, and I'm going to click layouts, vertical, this one. I'm going to bring it at the center of two buttons. See that? And also notice that the where is the design? Also notice that this one at the center here has a little more weight than the views at the side. So let's call this 60%, and then these ones are 40. All right, let's try that and see. So our button here, first let me give this a dimension of match parent and match parent. Great, it already has that. So our button at the left here, I'm gonna zoom this in. So our button at the left here, this needs a weight of 40, right? 40, 60, 60, 40, 60, 40. But remember, we flip the value. So I'm going to give this a 60, and a 40. So this one gets a 60. This one gets a 40. And this one gets a 60. All right. See that? Yeah, I think that's what we have here. Yeah, it looks right to me. It looks right. So now we have this done. The next thing we're gonna do is, I think I'm gonna assign a brighter background to this, but it's fine. So the next thing we're gonna do is bring in let's bring in this. So we have a space up here, an image view and another space. So let's bring that in. But first I'm gonna give this a background. Let's say background of yeah, that's fine. Okay, so we're going to bring in a space. I'm going to click layout, so a vertical layout, and then I'm going to bring in a space in here, drag it in. The next thing we had there was an image view, this one. Okay, I'm going to bring that in, an image view. Image view. I'm going to select something random for now. Let's see, just this one, that's fine. And then lastly, I'm going to bring in another space. Okay, so space, image view space. Looking here, we see we have an equal amount of distribution of space or ratio. So I'm gonna give each of them 1 1 1. All right, so this one gets match parent for width and height. Remember, that's needed to achieve this weighting system. This one also gets match parent. All right, then yeah, so the three of them now have match parent. Then the next thing we're gonna do is to assign weights to them. So this one gets, oh, by the way, let me make this, let me give a background to this so it's gonna be distinctive. I'm gonna give it a background of this one. Yeah, I think that's fine. All right, so then our space gets a weight of 1, our image gets a weight of 1, and our space gets a weight of 1. Okay, so as you can see, that worked. Now we have space, image view, and space. Looks good. And then we have our button here and our button here. By the way, I know this is an ugly design when it comes to color, but that's intentional because I want us to be able to distinguish these contents. All right. I actually design beautiful apps, but this is just for demonstration. All right, so now we have everything done. Congratulations on following through on this new approach. If you remember, I told you that the goal of this weighted ratio design is to be able to design screens that scale, right? I'm going to select a random screen. You see, it scales up. I'm going to select another random one, still scales up. I'm going to select another random one, this time a tablet, still scales. This should actually fill the screen. I'm not sure why it's not on this preview. I'm going to select the 10. I'm going to flip this around, portrait, still scales up. So this is the goal. By the way, like I said, this should fill the screen. I'm not sure why it's not filling on this preview, but in reality, this should fill the screen of the tablet. So let's go back to our favorite one, Pixel 3a XL. All right, so this is actually how I design with weights. They help a lot create screens that actually scale. So that is it for this design. Now, as you can see, we are now onto our actual design for the app of the day. And today we are dealing with creating screens that scale, which we've just touched now, and we're also going to deal with cameras. If you don't understand or if you forget any concept I explained regarding creating screens that scale, I have a whole instruction here that you can follow anytime. It's really easy to follow. It goes through the same stuff. This is the instruction, and it comes with examples. This is the instructions of how to design this weighted system I just explained to you. As you can see, I have a raw XML code here. If you're ever wondering how you use this code, because we've been dealing with visual designs, this is the behind the scenes of something like this. So to access the code of this kind of stuff or to make changes in code, you simply come up here and click code, and then you're gonna see something similar to what you just saw here. This is the code behind the design. Because we are not dealing with constraints here, the constraint layout, it's just a root layout here. I actually didn't remove it because I'm trying to keep things simple. That's why we have two kind of roots here, but it's okay. Just focus on the main thing, which is the linear layout. So So whenever you want to make changes, like you are working on, a project, and the project offers you this, and you want to include this in your project, simply click the code, and then from there you can actually make changes. The concepts are the same. Um, you can just copy and paste. Just remember that every opening bracket has a closing somewhere. Okay. Um, so yeah, we're actually going to modify some code later today. Because that's the only way to do it. But we're gonna dive into that later. So if you ever need to go over this is the written instruction. Um, so like I said, today we are dealing with how to design screens that scale and how to use the camera on your device to record photos and capture videos. Recording photos and capturing videos, it's a little bit complex using the known Android or the recommended Android methods. Um, that's why there are libraries. People have created easier ways of doing stuff. This is the Android recommended way. To me, this is not the simplest approach. I'm not sure why this is shipped, but this is not the simplest approach. So we're going to be using a library called Camera View. This one, um, it's much easier to implement than the standard way Android offers. So this is what we're going to be using today. Let me see. It's really simple. You import the camera view into your XML layouts, initialize the camera, and pretty much simply start calling the line take picture and uh, take video. It's really that simple. So we're going to be diving into this today. It's going to be fun. But first, we need to import the library. Yeah, right? We need to import the library. So um, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and do that. So the instruction says to import the library, add this to your Gradle file. So I'm going to copy this, copy, and then go into our Android Studio, into our projects build.gradle. Remember, that's the one, the app build.gradle. The project is root project, and then the one inside, that's this one. If your mode is in Android, then that will be the one that says under Gradle scripts. That will be the one that says module. So open that up. And then below the implementations you already have, we're going to add this new one. And then click sync. Okay, it's all done. So now this camera view is in our project, no errors, great. The next thing we're going to do is actually design this app to work with this library. It's really that simple. But first we need to add some permissions. So this library uses permissions. Permissions is, how when you try to use a camera on your phone, and the app tells you allow permission for the camera, allow permission for the mic. So this app uses permissions: microphone permission, camera permission, and hardware permission, all this stuff. But the library comes bundled with most of them. So the only one we need to add manually is the record audio permission. So I'm going to copy that. Again, I clicked the link for this one, camera permissions. That's how I got to that. So copy this code, and then we're gonna go back to our project, and then under manifests, Android manifests, open that up, and then paste that permission at the top here. That's right under the package name. Paste that there, and then we are set to proceed. All right. So the next thing we're going to do now, we've set up the camera view, sorry, the camera permissions. The next thing we're going to do according to the instructions for this library is we're going to add the camera view, that's the preview, the camera preview to our screen. Where is it? I'm gonna go back to design. We're gonna add the camera preview to this screen. Okay, so remember that this app records videos, captures photos, and also plays back that video. That's the goal of the app, to be able to, when you click this button, it captures a photo. When you click this button, it records a video, and when this button is clicked, captures a photo and shows the photo here. When this button is clicked, it also plays the video here after capture. So let's go ahead and dive in. So that means up here, we're going to actually have 3 layers of views. One is going to be the camera view, 2 is going to be the play button, and 3 is going to be the video view. So that means we're going to add a camera view on top of this. All right. So to do that, let's go ahead and add a camera view to our layout here. I'm going to minimize this. So we already have the video view and then the play button. We want the camera view to be below the video view and the play button. Now the camera view is from the library we imported, so that means we may not find it here. So we actually need to bring in the code directly, and the code is here. Where is it? This one. This is the code for the camera view. I'm gonna show you how to get this in. This instruction can also be found on the actual library page. If you click documents, if you click docs and then click getting started, you're gonna see the same pieces of code. So I've copied the code into my clipboard. I go to my project and then I click on frame layouts. I right click on it, click go to XML. This takes me directly to where my frame layout is. So I want the camera view to be before the video view. If I want it to be before the video view, I will simply paste this code in there. This is our frame layout, if you remember. That's this frame layout up here. So I'll paste the code at the position of 0. That's the first position in our frame layout stack. If I want it to be at the top, I would paste it as the last item in the frame layout stack. That will put the camera view at the top. Okay, but like I said, I want this to be at the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to put it there. I'm going to get rid of this one. All right, no errors, great. I'm going to go back to the design. All right, so now we have the video view, we have the button, and we have the camera. So when the app launches, I want the video view to be shown. I want the camera preview to be shown, not the video view, the camera preview. So I'm going to make this one invisible. That's the video view for now, because there is no video to play. I'm going to say invisible, and then the button also invisible. Let me show you what this looks like in code. So you see there is a visibility attribute, invisible, and this one to invisible. Oh, by the way, I actually want them gone. Where is the gone option? Yeah, gone. Invisible makes them there, but they still occupy space, but they are invisible. Then I want them gone. But when they are gone, they are almost removed from the hierarchy completely. But you can still bring them back by changing them to visible in code. Um, so right now we only have our camera view at the in this layout physically. Later on in code, we're gonna bring back video view and we're gonna bring back our button. All right. So yeah, so now we have our camera view. As you can see, we brought it manually from code, and then we made the other two invisible. Okay, so let's move on to the next step, which is to actually use this camera view to capture videos and other cool stuff. So let's organize things now. So we have our camera view at the top. The ID is camera. We have our video view. The ID we need to make some changes to. Let's change the ID of the video view to preview video view. Preview video view. And then we have our preview image view here. Let's change the ID of this one too to preview image view. Okay, and then here we have our shutter button. That is the button that captures the picture. So let's change the ID of this one to shutter button. And then this one, let's change the ID to record button because it's going to be recording videos. Okay. Then next we have our play button. Let's change that to play button because we're gonna need it to play the videos we've recorded. Okay. Okay, cancel. I'm gonna change this to play button 2. All right. So we have our camera view. We have our preview video view, and we have our play button. Then we have our capture button. We're going to call this capture button. Where is it? Text capture. And then this one, we're gonna call this record. Okay, so everything looks good. The next thing we're gonna do now is to bring these views into the screen. So that means we're gonna go to our Java file or Kotlin, whichever one you're using, and then we're going to bring in these views. Before we bring in the views, we're going to add a context object because we're going to be needing it. Context. I'm going to call it C. And then we're going to bring in our camera view, camera. We're going to call this camera. And then we're going to bring in our, I'm just going to call this camera. Then we're going to bring in our image view for displaying our image preview. And we're going to call this preview image view. And then we're going to bring in our video view. gonna call this preview video view. Okay. Then lastly, we'll bring in our button for capture. I'm gonna call this shutter button, comma, record button. All right. So now we have our two buttons. The next thing we're gonna do is create the IDs for these. Connect them to the layout by creating their IDs. So to do this, you already know what we're gonna do. It's simple. We're gonna say camera equal to find view by ID, r.id.camera. Then next we're gonna say preview image view equal to find view by ID, r.id.preview, preview video view equal to find view by r.id.preview video view. And then we have our shutter button equal to find view by ID, r.id.shutter. And then we have our record button equal to find view by ID, r.id.record button. Okay. So now we have all our main views brought in. Oh, by the way, we still need our play button. Play button. I'm gonna call this play button. Then I'm gonna bring it in. Play button equal to find view by ID, r.id.play button 2. Okay. So yeah, now we have our camera, the ID camera preview. It's always good to check this, otherwise your app will crash. Preview video view, shutter button, shutter, record, play button. Okay, so now this is done. The next thing we're gonna do now is to start using the camera to do some cool stuff. I'm going to bring the camera down here. All right. Then the next thing we're going to do now with the camera is to set it up to know when the app has launched, when the app is closing. So to do that, we simply say camera dot set lifecycle owner. I'm just gonna pass in this. That means this activity. All right. And then next is to start performing stuff with the buttons and cameras. I remember we're gonna create a function called set public void set click listeners. This is where we're going to be calling all our click functions. And right away, I'm going to call this function from here, set click listeners. This is from the onCreate, so that we have this set up from the beginning. All right, so in the set click listeners, we're going to first of all deal with the camera. So the camera, we want to know when we say camera.take picture or camera.record video, we want to get a callback for when those things have happened successfully. So we're going to add a camera listener, camera dot add camera listener. Then we say new camera listener, and then it gives us these options of things to override. Pretty much it's saying which of these things do you want to listen to for when they happened, which ones do you want to get a trigger for. There is the option of on camera opened, on camera closed, on camera error, on picture taken, on video taken, on orientation changed, on autofocus start, all this cool stuff. The one we actually are gonna need most of the time, and for this demo, is on picture taken. Oops, I wanted to select two. I'm gonna hold the control key, so I want the on picture taking, and sorry, the control key if you're on Windows. If you're on a Mac, is gonna be the command key. So I'm gonna hold down the command key for me because I'm on a Mac. On picture taking and on video taking. So I want these two to be overridden because I want to listen to them. We're gonna be taking pictures and recording videos today. So on picture taking and on video taking. I'm gonna click OK. So now I have these brought in. I'm gonna ignore this. Just ignore these two, the ones that say super and on video taking. Ignore them. And then inside them is inside the rest of the space is where we're gonna write our code. So let's leave these empty for now. Camera dots on picture taking and on video taking. Let's actually call take picture and take video. So the next thing we're going to do is make the shutter button work. So I'm gonna say shutter button dot set on click listener. Okay, new on click listener. All right, I'm gonna use lambda for this one just to keep things simple. Okay, so on click listener. Then I'm going to also have record button dot set on click listener, new on click listener. I'm gonna hover over it and click replace with lambda because I want to keep things simple. Then the next one we're gonna have is our play button. So play button dot set on click listener, new on click listener. I'm gonna simplify the code. Okay, so now we have our functions for writing these codes: shutter button, record button, and play button. We have camera taken care of. We have our preview video. That one is going to be a variable. We have our play button set up. We have our shutter, and then we have our record button, which is this one. And then we have our preview imagery. So everything looks set. We've done all this now. So let's go back. So shutter button, that's the one that captures the picture. So the first thing we're gonna do in the shutter button is, it's really simple. We're going to capture the picture. So that means we're gonna say camera dot take picture. It's really that simple. Camera dot take picture. But before we do this, we're gonna set the camera mode to photo. Camera dot set mode dot picture. All right, this tells the camera that we're in picture mode. It's really that simple. Then when we want to record a video, we do something similar. So that's for camera. Then for record button, we're going to do something similar. First we say camera.set mode, as you might have guessed, video. So I'm going to change this to video. video. All right. Then camera dots take video. As you can see, camera.take video takes in a parameter of the file where the video is going to be saved. All right. So right now we need to provide that file. All right. To get this set up, the file that is going to be recording the file where the video is going to be saved into, there is a snippet on the doc called video file setup. Let's go there. Let's copy that. It includes a function that is going to create a temporary file for us on the system where the code is where the video file is going to be saved. So let's copy that. I've already copied mine into clipboard, and then we'll go back to our project, and on the tools, remember we have this tools in our utils folder. Let's, before the last parenthesis, we're gonna paste the code in there. All right, then I'm gonna import these things. I'm gonna import the missing stuff. All right, so now we're done. So now we have the function create file. Let's go back to our screen 7. So this is now where we would create the file that is needed to call the take video function. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to decide on what we're going to name this file. All right, so we're going to say string video file name equal to, let's call it video plus, we're going to create a random string that is going to be making this video file name unique. The for simply says we want the random string to be 4 in length, and then we're going to say plus dots mp4 because video files are in mp4 format. All right, so video file name we want it to be this .mp4. All right, then the next thing is the actual file that we're going to pass into the take video. So we're going to say file video save location, okay, equal to tools. Now we're going to use that function we brought in, tools dot create file, and it takes in a parameter of folder, the image name, which is going to be this, and then context. All right, so create file, and then the folder we're going to be let's call it videos slash test, and then the file name is going to be the file name we have up here we just created, so video file name, and then context is the C we have up here, the app context, okay, the activity context. All right, so now the video file location is set up. This is going to return a file to our variable here, which we're now going to pass into the take video function. So camera.take video, passing the video file location where we want it stored. Questions? So yeah, it's really simple. Camera.setMode video, camera.setMode picture, and then we pass in the location of where we want the, for video we pass in the location. So let's go ahead and continue. Now this is set, but I want us to make things a little more contextual. So when where is it? Nope. Active. Yeah, this one. So when we click capture, sorry, when we click record, I want this text to change to recording. All right. And then we want to toast a message that says recording started. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to change the record button text to record button dots set text equal to recording, so that when it's recording, we'll know. All right. So camera.set mode video, we set up the file for the video, say camera.take videos, and then we just toast tools.toast recording started. All right, recording started, and then we pass in the context. All right. So now this is, what if the button, now this is the code for recording. What if the button was clicked again? So we need to know this and then be able to stop the recording instead. So that is, if the same button is clicked again, we should probably stop the recording. So in that case, we're gonna need an if statement, and the if statement is gonna go like this: if camera dot is taking video is equal to false, then we start taking video. Okay. By the way, you can also write the same statements like this by putting an exclamation mark before the camera. This reads if this is a not statement, if not taking video. So pretty much if camera is not taking video. It's the same as this one. They're exactly the same thing. If camera is taking video is equal to false, we take the video, else that means it's recording, we stop the recording. Okay, so I'm just gonna make some changes here. I'm gonna get rid of this code. You know what, I'm just gonna say camera dot stop video. It's really that simple. So camera dot take video and camera dot stop video, and then here we're going to say recording stopped. No, we're gonna say record. This should be record. This is the button. It's gonna go back to record, and then this is the one that is gonna say stopped. All right. So if the camera is not recording, we start recording. If it's recording, we stop recording. It's really that simple. So this is done for our recording code. The next thing we're going to do now is to deal with the camera listener. So what happens when the camera, when the picture has been taken? We want to display this, right? And remember, we have a preview image view here, which is this one right here. Preview image view, this one. So we're going to use that to display the image once the image is recorded. So to do that, we simply say preview image view dot set image bitmap, and then we pass in the bitmap that we want to set as the image. Make sense? So this on picture taken, it gives us a value of the bitmap that is created. So it gives us this result as a parameter for when the picture is taken. So the results gives us result dot to bitmap result dot get data result dot get facing result dot get location, all those stuff. So we want a bitmap. Remember, the bitmap is the one that is the Android's image data format. So we want the one that says result dot get bitmap. That's what we want. So we say result dot to bitmap, and then we pass a callback into that new bitmap callback. All right. So that bitmap callback gives us the bitmap when it's ready, which is probably in milliseconds. So that bitmap callback is in there that we're gonna now put this code of preview image.set bitmap. Okay, and then we pass in the bitmap that comes in from the callback. That's this one here. So we say bitmap. That's this one. We're passing this in. Okay, passing this in here. So pretty much we grab the bitmap from the parameter of onPicture taking, and then we put it into our image view by saying preview image view.set bitmap. To keep this code a little cleaner, I'm just gonna convert this to Lambda to make things much more easier for you to grasp. You don't have to do this. I'm just trying to make the code easier for you to understand. Okay? So that means when we call result.toBitmap, that's this one, it passes in it delivers us with the bitmap, which we now put into our preview image.set image bitmap. All right, it's really that simple. We're gonna do something very similar for the video, and we're gonna tools.toast image captured. All right. Okay. So we're gonna do something very similar for the video. The video also passes in a result that gives us access to the video file. So for this one, on video taking, the goal I want us to, the simple thing I want us to do here is to simply load this video onto the video player and play the video. All right, this is when the video is captured. So to do that, we say preview video view dot set video path, and then we pass in the video path from the results, which we're gonna get by results dot get file dot get path. Okay, that gives us the access to the video location. All right, then we simply say preview video view dot start. It's a video player, so we start playing the video. All right. So let's now show a visual for this whole stuff. So we say tools dot toast. We toast video received, and then we also toast. Yeah, I think that's enough toast. I think I misspelled received. All right, so we toast video received. Now that's when the video has been captured. What about our play button? Remember we had a play button. What about that? So in this on video taken, we can really just use the play button instead, right? Instead of doing it here. But let's pretend Yeah, let's go ahead and use the play button right away. So to do that, we have the video file here. We're gonna need to make it a global variable so that we can access it from the play button and play the video from the play button. So to make the video part a global variable, we're gonna scroll all the way to the top and create a string video, let's call it recorded video path, and we're gonna leave this as null for now. So when the video is recorded on video taken, we simply say recorded video path equal to, make this bigger, recorded video path equal to result.getFile.getPath. Okay. Then now we can just copy this and put it inside our play button clicked code. Alright, so that means we put it here, set video paths, and then we now pass in the global variable we had up here for recorded video paths. We pass it in there. Alright, and then we start the video. So this is for when the play button is clicked. Alright, now remember that we had our video view and our play button hidden. So let's re-enable them whenever the camera stops recording. Alright, so that means when the camera stops recording, we press we make them visible again. So we say play button dot set visibility view dot visible. Then we also make our video view visible. So we say video preview video view. Oops. Dot set visibility view dot visible, and then we hide our should we? No, let's leave it invisible for now. So we yeah, let's hide it. So we hide our camera preview. So we say camera dot set visibility view dot invisible. I didn't want to make it completely gone because I don't want the camera module to crash, so I'm just gonna make it invisible for now. Invisible. All right, so whenever so this is for when we stop playing the video. We want to show all these widgets again, but when we click record again, we want to show the camera view, the preview back. So I'm gonna paste this code here and then reverse this. So this one is invisible, make it visible, then this one, make it gone, then this one, make it gone. All right, so when our play button, when our record button is clicked, we hide the play button, hide the preview video view, and then the camera view becomes visible. When the stop recording is clicked, the play button becomes visible, the preview video view becomes visible and the camera becomes invisible. I'm not sure how this is gonna work, but we're gonna see. All right. So I believe we have everything set for now. The preview video view is set to show an image after the image is captured. The preview image view is also set. Shutter button is working down here. Remember, we always go through our code. Record button is working down here. We set the mode to video. Someone set the mode to picture. Great. What else? The play button is working down here. Yes. But now, again, now we have to do a quick check. We have to check and make sure this is not null before we play the video. So I'm gonna put an if statement. If record button, sorry, if recorded video path is not equal to null, then we actually play the video. Otherwise, the app will crash. Okay, so we'll paste this code in here. This is called a safety check. All right. So the play button is done. Everything looks good. Everything looks good now. So I think it's time to safely test the app and see how things work out. Let's see what we have here. Before we test, so we have our camera permissions done. We have our camera view in the XML. We set up the camera library. We set up the video file setup. Okay, so I think we should be able to test now. So I'm gonna view appearance exit. Okay, so one last thing we should do is to actually make this screen launch from screen 1. So in the main activity, I'm going to bring in another button to launch screen 7. Gonna move this all the way to the top. All right, so now I have constraints. Oops, thought I had this one already. So now I have constraints on all 4 corners. Great. Then I'm going to name this. Remember this, I'm still doing this because we already are used to doing this dragging of things on the main screen. Otherwise, going forward, we're going to be using the weighting system, like I said. And the weighting system works perfectly in linear layouts. Yeah, as long as you nest your views in linear layouts. So this will be screen 7, which deals with screen scaling designs and camera. Scaling designs and camera, yeah. All right. So now we need to make this button work. The ID will be, what do we name this one? Screen 6 button. So the ID for this one should be screen 7 button. And then we go into the code for our main activity. And bring that in. So we have button screen 7 button. All right. So screen 7. By the way, this code is redundant. screen 7 equal to find view by ID r dot id dot screen 7 button. Okay, and then we make it work. I'm gonna copy this just to keep things simple. Change this to 7. It's really the same thing. And change this to screen 7. Alright, everything looks good. So now when we launch the app, it's building, we should be able to launch up screen 7 and test out our code. Now when it's launched, let's go ahead and test. Okay, so screen 7 over here. So now we're going to allow permissions, allow C to take pictures, yes, while using this app. I'm going to click yes. Allow C to record audio while using this app, yes. Okay, this one is just Android telling me how to use the camera. Pretty much you hold what is it? Hold the options key and then move your cursor around. Okay, so this is kind of like a fake live preview of a camera. Why is this button showing? I thought I hit it. Let's see if I can try again hiding it. Activity screen 7. This button, where is it? Yeah, that's the play. That's the play button. Why isn't it hidden? Let's see. Anyways, I'm gonna ignore that for now. Anyway, so this is our live camera preview. This is our live camera preview. It's a fake one. So we have our capture button. I'm gonna click capture. Let's see how that works out. Something crashed. Let's see. That'll be screen 7. So on picture taking result.2-bit map preview image. Let's see, shutter button camera.set mode. Why did you crash, boy? Let's see. Let's try again. Capture. Okay, let's see if we're gonna get an error. Okay, we did get an error. Attempting version string. Context.get package name. Oh, okay. So we forgot to initialize our context object. All right. So C will be equal to get application context. That was the problem. All right. And we were using the context everywhere, so we need to initialize our variables. Yeah, this is a good lesson, because we're using this context across the app. So now let's try again. One succeeded. By the way, let me set this to run. Okay, scaling designs. I'm gonna choose preferred preview. I want to capture the stove. Okay. All right. So capture. All right. See, it captures that. Cool. So this worked. The toast happened. So now let's test out recording a video. So I'm gonna click record. And when I click record, I'm gonna move around the view so that it records different stuff. Oh, and also, by the way, one thing I would mention is while testing, I noticed that the simulator, it can record a video, but it can't play back the video it's recorded. I'm not sure why, but it works on the phone. So I'm just telling you so that when the recording happens, you know why it's not playing back the video. But it's going to show, but it's not gonna play it back live. I hope that doesn't happen, but that's happened in the past. All right. So I'm gonna click record. Recording started. Great. It should be recording all this stuff right now. Should be recording. Then I'm gonna stop the recording. It says recording stopped. Video received. So right now it's supposed to show that video here, and then now I'm going to click play to see if that video plays. This is our play button. Okay. So it did show the video, but like I said earlier, for some reason on emulators it doesn't render the playing of the video, but the video is playing. This is a sign that it's playing. That's what happened when I clicked play. It did play, but because this is an emulator, for some reason it doesn't render the video playing. But if you run this app on your phone, the video would actually play here. So it works. So that means the capture worked, the record worked, and the video also worked. So that's great. Let's try this out one more time and see. So scaling screen designs. This is how I'm gonna record first. Record. I record in our living room. Alright. Then I'm gonna stop recording. I'm gonna click play. So this is the video playing, even though it's not rendering the frame, but this is the video playing. Alright. Now let's test out our picture. Capture picture. Then the picture captures and come on. It should show our picture here. I'm not sure why it's not. It's kind of slow right now. So image captured and it shows. Awesome. All right. So this is it. This is recording a video. I'm capturing a picture as well. Another thing we learned here is about hiding views and making them visible and invisible. So if you want to hide a view, there is the option to do invisible, visible, gone, and visible, invisible, and gone. Remember, gone removes the view. Gone removes the view from the layout. Invisible makes the view gone, but it still occupies space in that layout. While invisible makes the view gone, but it still occupies space in that layout. When it's gone, it no longer occupies space, it's completely gone. To bring it back, you simply call it visible on it again, using the set visibility call of the view. Every view has this option. It's part of the root view. Alright, so I'm gonna close this out. Alright. So today we've covered how to create screens that scale. We've covered the different layout types that we have. That we'll be working with going forward: the vertical, horizontal, and the frame layout. Then we've also covered how to assign weights to them, how to design different apps that involve different constraints. We designed this one and even moved it forward to to this complex one, which we eventually use as our final design for the app. We talked about permissions, how to record videos on Android, the root way of doing it, which I don't recommend because it's complex. This library called camera view makes the whole process easier. Camera.take picture, camera.take video, camera.stop video. It's really that simple. And of course, you remember to at the beginning, set the life cycle for the to remember at the beginning to set the life cycle for the camera, and then call camera.add camera listeners, and you pick the ones you want on picture taking and on video taking. Then we talked about how to set up a video file. Oh, by the way, this is also a great way to see how to create a file on Android. So we had this function we added here, create temporary file, and which takes in a folder, an image name, and a context. It's really simple. Study this code. It's gonna give you a very good example of how to create a file on the system. This here is not required, but this one is required to create a file. This actually creates the file. This is the code that created. This one sets up the paths that the file is going to contain, and this one makes those. Sorry, not this one. My bad. Not this one. This one makes the directories. File.make directories. This one checks if it exists. File.make directories. So yeah, that's something good to know. Then the last tip I have for you today is when you stumble upon codes like this. I have, for example, I have this whole code we dealt with today available. When you stumble into codes like this, study them, learn the tips and tricks, learn how the programmer programs, learn from all these great minds. A wise man once said, "If I have seen so far, it is because I stood on the shoulders of giants." So remember that, and then in the next session we're gonna be diving into some cool stuff with creating a full banking app. It's really gonna be fun, and then we're gonna be almost done. All right. So with that said, I would catch you in the next one.